Our next speaker is come all the way from Georgia, and Reed Rawlings was a professional basketball player, and you'll see why when Reed comes up. I'd like to please invite Reed Rawlings, please.
Good morning. Testimonies are great. I think you kind of get to see in kind of an unbuttoned way just what God is doing in people's lives. The power of a testimony, it's great. It's the centerpiece of BMF for sure for us in Atlanta, the bi-monthly meetings, to have guys stand up and share what's going on from their lives. Sometimes it's a buttoned up professional, sometimes it's someone who God had just changed and they're new believers. And every week we get to see what God is doing in somebody's lives. I do think that the testimony is the most powerful weapon that we have, whether it's a 5-second I was blind and now I see type testimony that changed the whole town in Jesus' day when he healed him, and that's all his testimony was, or if it's someone who has can spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes explaining what Jesus has done in their lives to change them. I do have experienced the power of a testimony before I was a businessman. I was an athlete. I grew up, excelled at sports from a young age, was extremely driven and motivated through elementary school, middle school, high school. Ended up signing a college scholarship to go play at a medium-sized college in Birmingham, Alabama. It was called Samford University. We did some pretty neat things there. As a small school, we made it and we're one of the top teams in the country for a couple years, so that was pretty neat. Got to play on national television. From there, because I excelled in that arena, I got a chance to play at even the next level. Sitting beside my friend Anthony over here with his jersey on today, so I played against those guys, but we were still friends over there playing Mario Kart, so good to see you there. But the power of a testimony, I'll skip the young stage of my life and kind of bring it to where I would like to hit on today. I was a sophomore in college when I heard an evangelist at an FCA meeting. Randy Rich yesterday was talking about FCA. I don't know if he's here today, but I did not plan to go there. I stopped in the gym on the way out after practice. They were setting up for an event. I walk in the back of the gym. There's about 2,000 people there, and there's just a big guy, like a bodybuilder, and has all these chains, physical chains around him. And he's walking out in the course. So of course I just said, what's going on? What are they setting up for? What's this guy doing? And in a quick period of time, my testimony is a little bit unique in that I came and surrendered my life to God while things were going really well for me. And that's interesting and a bit unique in most of the testimonies that I hear, that God got a hold of me while things were going well. And it was more of a mental decision of the will to surrender my life over to God, because I really didn't feel a need for him at the time, but I knew that his truth was real and that I wasn't following him, that I had a head knowledge of him, but I was in no way submitted to him, and he wasn't Lord of my life. So before an altar call was even given, if you can imagine just someone sitting there talking, and I walked to the front and just stood out there on the court, and I just looked at him. I did like that, and so he kind of went into an impromptu altar call, and people started coming down. I don't know why I'm out here. I just know that I need to show somebody that my life's not together, and I need to get this right in front of people publicly. Otherwise, it'll be easy for me to go back into my old life. So that was the start of my testimony. Shortly thereafter, I joined into my professional basketball career a group called Athletes in Action. It is a branch of Campus Crusade for Christ, and so we take college and professional basketball players, and we go around the world, and we take basketball into countries that you couldn't get into. If you have a ball and you're from America, you can go anywhere you want to. And so we go, we have a mic at halftime, and we get to explain to people why in the world are we coming all the way over to them, paying our own way, and we get a chance to share testimony after testimony after testimony. So for those years, that was a big part of my life, was basketball and a testimony. What did Jesus do to change my life? And the hope that he's given me, and that how to share that with other people. I'll close with kind of the challenge and the new direction of my life in the last few years has been, since I had an injury which stopped my career almost overnight. the girl I was dating at the time, I married her. She was from Atlanta, so I ended up moving to Atlanta and got into the business world. And was sharing with Bill yesterday just some fun business stories and some things that I'm learning that God's taken me through to be able to have another business testimony that is relatable to people who are going through some tough issues financially, unwise decisions, and praying that and seeing how God is using that to form and shape my testimony as a businessman to impact other people. The same way that so many of you guys have been through situations and had God reveal himself and to teach you that you can teach other people through your testimony or just through conversation. So excited this new chapter of my life as I'm trying to learn how to share testimony to be effective as a businessman. I look at 1 Peter 3:15 that says, "In your heart set apart Christ as Lord, and always be ready to give a reason for the hope that you have." In a lost environment that I was in, obviously the professional basketball world it can be as lost as it gets with any profession, where sin is really easily seen, and if you choose not to fall into that environment, you stick out pretty easily. So you better be ready to give a reason. It's really easy, and I found myself almost rarely ever having to strike up a conversation with anyone. It was just really easy, again, whether it was a 5-second testimony that I would give that would cause for further discussion later, or someone on a team bus that would sit there and talk to me for a couple hours. It's really easy to give a reason for the hope that I have because I always got asked. And when somebody asks you, it's the best weapon that you'll ever have. You can't argue if somebody asks you. And I mean, it's your testimony. You don't have to preach. You don't even have to be clear and concise. All you got to do is just talk to them about what's coming out of your heart. Where I'm at now is, how do you do that in the business world? It's harder to be, there are opportunities of course, but it's a bit harder in the corporate environment to be able to have a lifestyle that's so different that you get asked all the time. As a matter of fact, I feel that no one cares for the most part, that it's hard to be relevant as it was in the basketball days. I'm enjoying it. It's become, you have to be more intentional. For sure, you have to be intentional about relationships individually, a lot less of a public platform and more time, development of relationships for someone to trust you, to be able to ask you for the reason for the hope that you have. So that's my encouragement for you guys today, and I look forward for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Great testimony. Praise the Lord.